Hello and welcome to the second edition of Football Heaven 24/7. Your host, me, Jamie Carter. Um, as was talked about in the last video, basically we went through last weekend's action just gone, and we talked about the games that were going to be happening on Tuesday and Wednesday evening. Um, so I've done all the predictions for them. Looking forward, basically, going to look forward to sort of like this weekend and what games are on this weekend. Um, I'm away this week on holiday, so I'm going to fit this in basically now. I said I was going to do it on Friday, but here we go. So yeah, there's games coming up, as I say, on Saturday and Sunday this weekend coming up. There's going to be interesting games in the week that we've already talked about. Um, as I say, from the weekend just gone, the Man City game was the shock one. The Tottenham winning 3-2 at Man City. As I said on the last video, I don't think many people saw that happening. But stranger things have happened. Do you know what I mean? Spurs might actually win a cup at some point in the next 30 years. Oh, don't quote me on it. But anyway, yeah, so that's what's going on. So tonight I'm at in the national conference at Dagenham against Woking. I'll be watching that game, and as I said on Wednesday night, I'll be at Queens Park Rangers against Blackpool. So there'll be two things to report on there. I'll get some chats in with some other fans before the games, get some predictions down, what they think's going to happen. I think in the Dagenham game tonight, I think it's going to be 2-0 Dagenham, mainly because Woking haven't really done much in the game in the last few months. Dagenham's a bit inconsistent, but they're usually pretty good at home unless it's against one of the better teams like Stockport County and Chesterfield and all them kind of teams. Um, and as for the QPR one, which is coming up on Wednesday, they stuttered a little bit, like lost two and drawn one recently, but basically, I think they'll still end up in the playoffs, in a good position and that. So that's the main thing for them to go for. So yeah, when I was looking at, didn't really focus on it, but I wanted to say that I think obviously Dean Smith at Norwich has done a fantastic job. Some of the wins that they've picked up, some of the points they've been picking up as well. Steven Gerrard started fantastically. They've dipped a little bit, but I still fancy Steven Gerrard to do something decent at Aston Villa. But in all honesty, when we're all completely honest, including their own fans, really for a team like Villa, finishing sixth or seventh one season would be the pinnacle, because to go beyond that, you've then got to compete with the big boys like the Manchester Uniteds and Manchester Cities and Liverpool and Chelsea, and unfortunately they're not at that level. That's the thing. Money talks. It's always been that way in football, except there's a lot more money coming around today than there was when I started watching football 30 odd years ago. Anyway, I'm going to do me a little review of basically this weekend's coming up fixtures. So that'll be in the next 4 days' time. Well, actually, on Friday night, the Southampton playing Norwich. I think that will be really tight. Che Adams has been doing fantastic for Southampton, and you've got to say, I can only see one winner in that game. Norwich, even though Norwich have been doing all right and picking up some points here and there, they sort of lost it at Liverpool, which you can't really have a go at them for, because Liverpool are a fantastic team. Let's be honest. But I will say I'd go with Southampton to beat Norwich. I'll go 3-1 on this Friday night coming up. Then on Saturday, when we look into the Premier League, you've got Brentford against Newcastle. Now, Brentford's faltered a little bit after having a fantastic start. They've surpassed all expectations. I don't think anyone believed, probably most Brentford fans wouldn't have believed, that they'd be in the position they are now. They've done fantastic, and I think they'll probably just stay up, but they're having a bit of a falter. But you kind of expect that, because they don't have the money and the resources that the bigger clubs have that have been in the Premier League for a long time, So Anyway, but Brentford against Newcastle. Newcastle on a bit of a roll. I'm going to give this to Newcastle. I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle. I think Willock will get involved, will score. And I think Ryan Fraser as well. So I'll go with those guys. So if you're looking to back on those, get involved. We've got Brighton against Aston Villa. Brighton against Aston Villa. Basically, Brighton had a bit of a, loss to Burnley. It wasn't great for him, obviously, losing 3-0. But I think they can pick it back up again. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Brighton against Aston Villa at home. And then after that, we've got Crystal Palace against Burnley. Crystal Palace, you never know what you're going to get with Crystal Palace. That's the thing. Even at home, if Conor Gallagher's back, he's kind of like one of the main men for him, as was mentioned in the last video that I did. But if he's back, they've got a chance. But I'm going to go with Burnley 2-1 on that one, purely because I think Burnley's on a bit of a roll now. I think they're going to start picking up enough points and get out that relegation zone. So we'll see. It's going to be a tight one, but I'll go Burnley 2-1. And then in the evening kickoff, which is on Sky Sports, that'll be Everton against Manchester City, and that'll be a 5:30 kickoff. Manchester City, as a few of my mates have been saying, whoever they've got next, they're gonna absolutely batter them after losing to Spurs, because it's normally the way with championship teams. They lose, everybody gets critical of them, and then in the next game they absolutely smash the next team. So I kind of hope it won't happen, because it would be make for a more interesting title race. But I would say Everton. Do you know what? I'll probably say Everton will get a draw from them. I'm going to go 2-2. Most people wouldn't say that, but you've got to put your neck on the line, and you've got to say we'll go 2-2. Mainly because I think they've got a chance of sneaking something. If they've got the right spirit. Anyway, on to the next game. It's Leeds against Tottenham, and that's actually the earliest kickoff on the Saturday. That's going to be probably on BT Sport, I should imagine, if it's 12:30. Leeds, they showed some glimpses of really good stuff in the second half against Manchester United, but then it sort of lost concentration. It fell away. Bielsa's obviously done a fantastic job with Leeds. Everyone knows that, but some of his tactics, like the man marking from set pieces has been mentioned a lot on Sky and on BT with the football. But basically, from the pundits that know the most, because they've obviously played the game, they were saying like Leeds has got to improve that. They've got to change that zonal marking system that they're doing, because it's just not effective enough for them. So I'm going to look at this. Spurs, obviously they had a fantastic result against Manchester City. I can only see Spurs winning this as well, so I'm going to go 2-0 Spurs. It's going to be unpopular around my neighbourhood, where there's a lot of West Ham fans, but it is what it is. You've got to call it as you see it at the end of the day. And then the final game on Saturday in the Premier League is Manchester United against Watford. Watford had a bit of a revival, but I just can't see Man United, even though they've got to play Atletico tomorrow night, which is Wednesday. This is being recorded on the Tuesday at 3:25. Basically, I can only see Manchester United beating them probably like 2-0. I'll say 2-0, something like that. So, right, going to the Championship, it starts to get a little bit tasty. As I said in the last video, there's probably about 8 teams just outside the playoffs now in the Championship, where you're only looking at several points, not even that. A couple of wins and a few teams losing that are in the playoffs or not doing so well, getting some draws. You can see there's going to be a bit of a shift around. Obviously, we know Sheffield United's on a really good run at the moment. They've smashed Swansea recently last weekend. Weekend just gone even 4-0, and that was fantastic for them. And I think they'll carry on like that. But the first game that come across on the fixtures in the Championship on Saturday is, which will be the Saturday the 26th of February. That will be Bournemouth against Stoke. Bournemouth and Swansea game I just found out for tonight. It's been called off. I'm guessing that's to do with the weather or something like that. Because Wales, the bottom half of Wales, does get smashed a lot by by weather, by storms and stuff when we do get them. I'm going to go with Bournemouth they're playing Stoke. I think I'll say 1-1 for that game because Stoke, they can grind out results, especially at some of the tough grounds. So I'll go Bournemouth 1, Stoke 1. Barnsley against Middlesbrough. Barnsley sort of, they had a win a little while back against QPR, which shocked a few people because QPR was obviously in the playoff. Well, they're still in the playoffs. But I can only see Middlesbrough winning that one, and I'm going to go 2-0 Middlesbrough on that. Birmingham then is playing Huddersfield. Birmingham against Huddersfield. That will be, I'm going to say, I will say Birmingham 1, Huddersfield 3. And then we got Blackburn against Queen's Park Rangers, which will be on Sky Sports. That'll be 12:30. I'll say the QPR fans that know me won't be happy with this, but I'll say Blackburn 2-1, just narrowly. Sorry, QPR fans, but as I said earlier about the Tottenham game against Leeds, you've got to call it as you see it. Then we got Blackpool against Reading. Blackpool, I'll be watching them tomorrow night at Queen's Park Rangers, so we'll see how they play tomorrow night. That might shape how they play for the Saturday game coming up. I predicted in that game, which is going to be played on Wednesday night, a 2-2 draw at QPR's ground between QPR and Blackpool. But I'm going to say Blackpool, they're playing Reading. Reading's sort of like wanting to get as many points as they can so that Derby can't catch them and get out of that relegation zone in the Championship. So I'm going to go 2-0 Reading on that one, even though Blackpool are quite good at home. Then we go on to Cardiff against Fulham. I might be at that game because I'm up there seeing some friends and family and what have you. So I might be going to that. So if I go to that, I would say Fulham will win that. I don't know. I'm going to say 3-2 because I think Cardiff will put a fight up because they've got a bit of fighting spirit. But I think it'll be 3-2 to Fulham. And then we've got Coventry against Preston. Coventry sort of faltering a little bit, but Coventry I think will beat Preston. Actually, no, I don't think they'll beat Preston. I think Preston will beat them, and I think that will be. I'll go 2-1 to Preston on that one. Then there's Luton against Derby. As I say, Derby's done a fantastic job to get where they've got to. I will go with a 1-1 draw between Luton and Derby. I think Derby's got some fighting spirit in them. But Luton obviously want to get into the playoffs because I think they're like 8th in the Championship. So it's going to be close. And then we've got Millwall against Sheffield United. Millwall's not really the greatest of grounds to get to. They're quite good at getting draws a lot. But I would say I'll go in Sheffield United's favour. I'll say 2-0 Sheffield United. And then we've got Forest against Bristol City. I can only see Forest coming out of this. I'm going to say probably 3-1 to Nottingham Forest. And I think Brennan Johnson will get on the score sheet. Brennan Johnson is the player that everyone's talking about in the Championship at the moment. If you don't know much about him, Brentford tried to put in a bid on it for him and a couple of other teams. I think Leeds was involved in Crystal Palace. They were trying to get this lad Brennan Johnson for 18 million or something like that. But Forest don't want to sell him because Forest are trying to get back into the Premier League, which I think they've got a good chance of doing because they've got a great manager. Steve Cooper is a fantastic manager. He got the England under-23s to win the World Cup. I think it was under-23s, under-19s, I think it was. And I think that had Phil Foden in it that plays for Manchester City in that team. So he's a good manager. He knows how to deal with players. He knows how to progress players that are obviously, he can see have got great talent. And obviously everyone knows about Phil Foden and how good he's been in the last few seasons for Manchester City. And then anyway, the last game in the Championship is Peterborough against Hull. And Peterborough, they're fighting for their lives. They want to stay up, but to be honest, I think Peterborough and Barnsley are down, and I think it's between Derby and Reading now to stay up for that last, survival place in the Championship. So, but say Peterborough against Hull, I think they'll both be fighting for it. I'll say 2-2 in that game. I'll say, 2-2, Peterborough 2, Hull City 2. So we'll do that, and then we're shifting on to the weekend. Well, we can look at League One and League Two. League One and League Two. I'm not going to go through all the different games because that will take ages. But needless to say, there's a couple of games that stick out. Sheffield Wednesday's at home to Charlton. They're on the edge of the playoffs, trying to get in there. I said in the last video that Sheffield Wednesday will, I can see them in the playoffs. They're on a bit of a run. They've got quite a strong squad, very experienced players at Championship level. So they really, and they're starting to come to the fore now. So to me, it looks like they're going to be, they're going to be up there, there or thereabouts, as they say. So we go with that. And then we've got a few others games that are in there. There's a few fighting against relegation. AFC Wimbledon's at home to Doncaster Rovers. They'll be trying to fight their way out of that situation. We've also got a few other teams up there that want to maintain their places. Rotherham and Wigan. Wigan are at home to Sunderland. That's a massive game. Wigan are playing fantastic at the moment, and so are Rotherham. Wigan, I will say, in that key game between Wigan and Sunderland trying to get in the playoffs in League One, I'll say Wigan will win that though 2-0, and I'll go with 3-1 Sheffield Wednesday against Charlton in another key game in that league. And then there's another game in there, Plymouth and Rotherham. Plymouth have picked it up a little bit. They had a great start, but I fancy that Rotherham will probably win there 2-0. 2-0 I'll go with. Then going to League Two, unfortunately my lads, Scunthorpe United, they're not doing great. They're right down the bottom, as I said before, but you've got to keep the faith and hope that they get through. Hopefully we'll see from the video that I've done for Tuesday and Wednesday nights football whether they'll do any good, because they're playing Northampton at home, but I'm not holding my breath. We'll see what happens anyway. But anyway, they're down the bottom end. We've got a few teams up there in the League Two trying to get promoted, obviously. Forest Green are sort of like running away with it a little bit. They're away at Crawley Town. I'll say they'll probably win there. I'll go with 3-1 Crawley Town for them. And then also, there's a few other teams up there. Newport trying to get up there. They're at home to Tranmere. A guy called Dominic Telford's been scoring lots of goals for Newport County. He's been absolutely fantastic and I'm going to go with 2-1 to Newport in that game. Just looking for other games that stand out. I would say Colchester have pulled away from the relegation zone. They've been on a good little run, but they're playing Oldham. I fancy them to draw with Oldham. I'll say 2-2 in that game at home. And then you've got a few other teams that are sort of on a bit of a run at the moment. But, like Northampton's up there. They're away at Rochdale. So I would say I'll go with 1-1. No, I'll go with 2-2 in that game. No, 2-0 in that game, to Northampton. And then, looking down, you've got the Scottish League. But I don't think the top two aren't playing on the Saturday coming up. I think they're both playing again on Sunday. I think they'll both be on Sky Sports probably, as usual. But anyway, moving to Sunday. Obviously, there's the first domestic cup final of the season for the professional leagues, and that's it's a massive one, really. It's two of the best managers, Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel against the Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp. Very fantastic managers. Obviously, Tuchel came in sort of like halfway through last season and, as we know, won the Champions League for Chelsea, only for the second time in their history. And they did a fantastic job there. But this season they've sort of struggled a little bit by the standards that they would have expected. But they're still sort of up there for the Champions League places. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to call, but I will probably go narrowly with Liverpool just because they've got the slightly better team, I think, slightly stronger, more consistent team, shall I say. And I will go with, I will say 2-1 in that game to Liverpool. So, and then there's a Premier League game that's on Sunday, this Sunday coming up, and that is West Ham against Wolves. Wolves are on a bit of a run. West Ham have faltered a bit recently. A few of the people I know around locally where I live not really, a little bit miffed by West Ham, why they haven't brought in more players. because it's always been a thing through the years when they've had a tiny bit of success, as I was saying to a friend of mine today. Um, they've never really built on it, by buying the key players and the players that will make the difference to push them into being a Champions League team or a consistent European team, which is obviously what every fan in the Premier League would love. But West Ham can actually see that it's a possibility. They've got the Ukrainian businessman who is possibly going to be buying all of West Ham at some point in the not too distant future. So a lot of West Ham fans are hopeful for that, because obviously that'll mean that there might be that push on to get more ambition. I mean, there's been a lot of good things that have been done, but not quite to the standard that a lot of the West Ham fans that I know would want and expect. So I will think in that game. I don't like to say it, but I think I'll just go with I'll go with a 1-1 draw in that. I would go Wolves. Part of me is saying Wolves, but I'll say West Ham 1, Wolves 1. Yeah, and that's the review for this week and for the weekend. There'll be a few more videos coming up. There'll be one that will come up again next Monday, and I may just do a general one on Saturday evening to put out a review of the Saturday, of what I thought of some of the games, and also I'm actually putting another video out on Friday evening as well, which will be to cover all the midweek games from this week, from tonight, which will be Tuesday night, and obviously Wednesday night. So that will be interesting. I hope you can follow it all. I hope that whoever your team is, that they're successful. Obviously, they can't all be successful, otherwise that wouldn't work. But but yeah, we'll fingers crossed for all the games, and I hope that you all have a great week, enjoying watching the football like I will do on the TV and live as well. And yes, and please like and subscribe if you like this video, and please let all your friends and family know about what's going on, so that we can add more content, and we can get guests on the show, and we can do more things out and about that will make a massive difference for everybody. And anyway, thank you for your time. I'm your host, Jamie Carter, for Football Heaven 24/7. Over and out.